Hello, welcome to Melanie Joy Yoga and our live class for Yoga for Beginners. And this class, we're going to break down quite a few elements and kind of take it a bit easier in the physical aspects for those of you that might be experiencing some injury or some low ebbs in your energy. This one will be a good one. So with our yoga practice, there are three elements. And the main element people focus on lately is the physical aspect. So we're going to be breaking down some postures, slowing it down, and figuring out our alignment with the physical aspect. Before we get into the physical aspect, we're going to be dealing with some of our breathing or pranayama that we can do seated, we can do laying down, and we can take with us into our physical practice. So the first one is deep breathing, belly breath, diaphragmatic breath, yogic breath. So this one requires being comfortable in the body. Now, sitting cross-legged for a variety of reasons might not be comfortable. So if your back feels a little bit funky, if you feel tight in your back and sitting cross-legged feels like this, you might want to sit up onto a block. When you're seated elevated, your hips will be a little bit higher than your knees, and then you can either drop the knees out, like you can take the legs straight, you can sit up onto a chair, you can sit onto your couch. You have the bliss of being in your home and nobody's looking at you, unlike me, everyone's staring at me, so you can sit wherever is comfortable. If you like, you can also lay down and take some of these breathing exercises. So our diaphragmatic breath is breathing, moving the breath deep down into the belly. Now, you're not breathing into your literal stomach. You breathe into your lungs. So a lot of the breathe into sentences in yoga, it's conceptual. So breathe into the stretch. You can't breathe into your thigh. So it's thinking about where you're feeling in the body and then thinking about moving the expansion of the breath into those areas, if that makes sense. So the diaphragmatic breath, we have a diaphragm, a big sheath of muscle. It's right here around the ribs, the solar plexus. When you breathe in through the nose, it pushes the diaphragm down, which pushes out and expands the belly. And this is why we want to relax the abdominals so that you have space for that breath and you have space for the diaphragm to move down. When you exhale, diaphragm comes up, like a little elevator, and helps to push the breath out. So as you exhale, pushing the belly in helps to push the diaphragm and the breath out. So why this breath is good is not only is it a very deliberate, thoughtful breath, so you are paying attention to your breath, it's helping to relax the nervous system, because you're deliberately taking the breath, you're slowing things down, and you're thinking about your breath rather than your life that may not be relieving stress, maybe adding to it. The other reason is the diaphragm, the sheath of muscle that goes up and down when you're breathing, will actually massage the vagus nerve, which is a long nerve that travels from the brainstem all the way down into your visceral organs. And a lot of our stress gets into the visceral organs and of course up into the brain. So when we're diaphragmatically breathing, that diaphragm is massaging that nerve and starting to relax the nervous system and tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system, the opposite of the fight or flight. So we're going to start coming into that breath and opening up for the breath. So what I'd like you to do in your comfortable position, your seated or laying down position, is take a big breath, whether it's into the belly or the chest. Take a big breath in through the nose, dump it out through the mouth. Feel free to let the eyes close. A few more breaths in through the nose. Nice and dramatic through the mouth. Keep going. One more breath that way. Just settle the shoulders down. The shoulders are settling down, but you don't want to lock them down and back and be rigid. Just let them ease down and give into gravity. And then relax your belly, and what might help is to actually take your hands onto your belly and dump the belly into the hands. Okay? So you just want to relax into all of the deep dark recesses of the belly. And then bring your awareness, think about that sheath of muscle, the diaphragm, and as you inhale through the nose, think about your breath moving down through the throat, down through the chest, pushing the diaphragm down and pushing your belly open. Exhale, squeeze the belly in, and breathe out through the nose, the breath coming out through the nose. So we're going to keep going. Inhale through the nose, down, opening through the belly. Exhale, gently squeeze the belly in, squeezing the breath out through the nose. We're going to keep going at your pace of breath. Keeping that breath moving relatively smoothly. And let yourself hear the breath. Often we think of, especially as ladies in yoga, that it's graceful and it's pretty and everything is sweet. You can grunt the breath out. Let the breath be noisy so that you're not restricting for appearances. And as you're breathing this breath, even start to notice if you're holding into the jaw, unclench the jaw. Just let your face kind of droop and soften. Bringing attention back into that diaphragm with your inhale, pushing down and opening the belly. Your exhale, squeezing the belly in, squeezing the breath out. And as much as we are thinking about the breath going down deep into the belly, think less of it being a deep or a big breath, and think more of it being a slow breath. You might even count the number of beats it takes you to breathe in. See if you can add an extra little beat at the end of the inhale. And when you're ready to exhale, squeezing the breath out beat by beat, bit by bit. See if you can squeeze that last little bit out. We're going to take 4 more of these breaths. Just keep checking in. Are you holding the belly? Release it. Are you shrugging the shoulders up? Drop them back down. Holding into the face. Relax the jaw, let the lips slightly open. We'll take 2 more of these breaths. We're just going to move around a little bit and taking the breath, shifting now up into the chest for a few breaths. And we're going to come back into that diaphragmatic breath. So now I want you to allow the breath to come up into the chest. So it's not a tight, constricted, but it's an opening up and out through the breath in the chest. So when you're ready to inhale, inhale, lifting the chest up and open, shoulders back. And when you're ready, exhale the breath all the way up. Let the chest sink down. Inhale. Exhale. We're going to add some drama to it. So you're going to inhale, lift the chest up, gently shrug the shoulders. Exhale through the mouth, drop it. 3 more times. Inhale, gently shrug up, open the chest. Exhale, dump it out. Last one. So already you might be starting to feel maybe lightheaded, maybe energized, invigorated. So we're going to come back into that diaphragmatic breath. And then we're going to be taking that even, slow diaphragmatic breath into some movement in the neck, opening things up and graduating ourselves into some sun salutation breakdowns. So the diaphragmatic breath, releasing the belly. Again, inhale through the nose, push the breath down through the diaphragm towards the belly. Exhale, squeeze the belly in, breathe out through the nose. Okay, so keep that breath going slowly. On your next inhale, I want you to tilt your head over towards the right. And it absolutely doesn't matter how far you're tilting the head. It matters how it feels. So I want you to, at the same time, draw the right ear towards the right shoulder and gently pull the left shoulder down. Keeping the breath going, so you can feel this stretch in a variety of places. And I want you to fiddle with it to find where you need to feel it, where it feels uncomfortable. So you can tilt the head directly over to the side and get more of a stretch into the trapezius muscle and into the scalenes, which is just slightly in front of the trapezius muscle. Keep the breath going. Now our scalene muscles, even though they're in here, they actually do go down and attach to not just the chest, but into the upper ribs. And because they attach down into the ribs, they can affect the breathing. So especially on your inhalation, if you exaggerate drawing into the inhalation, you can feel a bit more stretch into the scalenes, into the trapezius. Now, if you want to feel more stretch, if you're tighter directly in the trapezius, in the side back of the neck, just take your gaze down towards the right shoulder, taking the chin down. And as I mentioned before, you want to conceptually breathe into the neck, right? So wherever you're feeling that pull, think about a little baby lung sitting in that tight spot. And as you inhale, it expands and stretches the tight spot. And as you exhale, leaves it a little bit softer. And if you wanted, you could bring it into one of my favorite muscles, if no other reason than the name of it, the sternocleidomastoid. So for me in particular, it's a nice chunky muscle from the ear, from the mastoid all the way down into the sternum, right? So if you want to tilt your head up, keep breathing that breath, especially exaggerating the inhalation, you can feel a nice stretch in here through the front. And all of these breathing techniques and stretches in through the neck are very good for anxiety, stress, tension, because we do hold it in a variety of spots in our body, but especially into the neck and all these spots of bracing for life. Take one more big juicy breath, holding wherever you need to in the neck. On your inhale, bring the head back up to center. Roll the head around a little bit, shake the shoulders, roll them. And then coming into the second side, so moving with your breath. Inhale, taking the head over towards the left. And as you are focusing on the breath, so inhaling, diaphragm down and towards the belly, you're focusing on the breath, and you can focus your inhalation, thinking of an inhale, stretch, exhale, drop. So every time you check in with the body and you notice you're bracing or you're clenching the jaw, you're squeezing and furrowing the brows, think about your exhalation and connect exhalation to dropping, exhalation to letting go. It's always nice to close the eyes because we have so much visual stimulation. Even if all you're doing is looking down at your floor, it's easy to get distracted and stop breathing and think about how you need to vacuum, why your kids won't pick up their toys, whatever's happening. So close your eyes, just draw that awareness into the blackness behind your eyelids. Exhale the shoulders down, inhaling down into the belly. And again, on this side, find where that sensitive spot is. So maybe the head tilts down, maybe it faces forward, maybe it tilts up. And this side might be completely different. We are not robots. We hold our bodies asymmetrically and the tension asymmetrically. So if this side needs a different spot, focus on that different spot. So yoga aims to balance out the body so that you feel mobile and stable evenly, but in order to get that evenness, you might have to work the postures asymmetrically. One big juicy breath here. And as you inhale, bringing the head back up to the center, give the shoulders a little roll. So we're going to bring it down from the neck and the shoulders, now down into the ribs. you want, you can shake the legs out and switch sides, or switch cross of the legs, I should say. So now we're going to bring into the sides the breath into the ribs. So you can bring your right hand out to the side. If you want, you can be using a block, maybe to hold up a little higher, or you can even have your block a bit higher and bring the elbow onto the block. Whatever works. And you're going to round and tilt over to the right side. So I want you now to be bringing the breath into the lungs, into the ribs, and especially into your left lung, as if this right lung is just malfunctioning. It's not really paying attention, and this is the only one you want to pay attention to. So again, if you like, hold on to the ribs, bringing your attention here. And if you like, close the eyes. But I want you to think about your lung. Think about your rib cage as you inhale, stretching out through the rib cage, through the intercostal muscles between each rib. And as you exhale, let go of the breath, deflate, decompress. You can keep holding onto the rib. You can keep the hand onto the knee. Breathe into the left side. Breathe out through the left side. If you want a bit more stretch, you can bring the arm up. You can bend into that right arm. So I want you to be bending to the side, which you may think, of course, I'm bending to the side, but you might be bending to the side slightly forward because you want to be thinking about getting down so far as humanly possible, but instead, keep yourself tilting to the right as if you're leaning your back on the wall. And that might mean you don't fold as far, but you're going to fold opening more efficiently, okay? So really inhale and puff out that left side. Exhale, let it go. If the arm is too much, you can always just drop it onto your head. And notice your breath if you're tending to rush through it, just wanting to get to the next phase. Instead, focus on the inhale as if that's all the breath you're going to take. And then focus on the exhale as if that's the only breath you're going to take. On your next inhale, when you're ready to inhale, bring the left arm up and over. We're going to switch sides. Left hand over to the side. And again, this side might be totally different. This side might just be free and easy, opening up nice and sweet, or it might be sticky and unpleasant. So if you feel enough of an opening, just dropping the head and focusing on the right side, you're good to go. Okay? Play with it, opening the arm up. Again, it's paying attention to what you're doing in terms of the form, how you're holding the body, and so that you can access where you're trying to breathe into. And mentally as well, picturing that lung. Picturing in between each rib having a little string of muscle that you're opening up on the inhale and softening on the exhale. Neurologically, actually, when you focus on whatever you might be focusing on physically, you're focusing on running, you're focusing on making a basketball hoop, a shot, whatever, sports, focusing on a particular spot of stretch. When you are thinking about that action, the same firing in the brain, the same synapses are firing in the brain as when you are physically actively doing the shot, doing the sport, doing the running, or doing the physical posture. So if you combine those, where your brain is thinking about specifically what you're doing, it's going to intensify the quality of the action. One more big sweep breath. On your inhale, come up. Good. So we're going to move now more into the ribs and the lungs in the front, the sides, and the back. So we're going to come into a seated cat-cow position. So a few things. Again, if you're laying down, you might want to come up to seated. You will want to come up to seated. You can sit cross-legged and hold on to the knees for this next movement, or you can hold on to the backs of the thighs. So what we're going to be doing, turn to the side so you can see what we're going to be doing is you're going to be rounding the back and bringing the breath into it. So whatever allows you to access that movement. Now you could actually, if you like, be laying down and holding onto the backs of the thighs and taking the same movement. On the exhale, rounding the spine, and then the inhale, relaxing. So for those of us seated, you're going to hold on to the knees or the backs of the thighs. And as you inhale, pulling the elbows back, pulling the ribs and the chest forward. If nothing else, it's very sexy. Exhale and draw the belly back. Draw the ribs back, chest back, head down, and hang off of your knees. Inhale, roll forward. So you're moving not at my pace, but you're moving at the pace of your breath. Exhale tells you when to move back. Inhale tells you when to move forward. And as you're taking your time with your breath, the end of your inhale, see if there's a little bit more time and breath and space to take there. And as you exhale all the way to the bottom of your breath, see again if your exhale has a little bit more to puff out. Take two more here. Last one. Now we're going to keep going and add some side opening. As you inhale, come forward again, and then over to the right. Exhale, draw back, and over to the left. So nice big circular motions. Inhale to the center and the front, over to the right. Exhale back, and to the left. So really notice your breath. Notice where you're holding it, and you will have to remind yourself again and again and again to breathe. So it's not that you're doing it wrong if you forget to pay attention to what you're doing, if you forget to breathe. All it means is that you are practicing something. Nobody's perfect, as my 7-year-old reminds me every time I try and ask him to do a chore. Nobody's perfect. Can't do it all the time. Exhale, roll back. Inhale back to the center. We're going to switch directions. So from the center, inhale forward and left. Exhale, roll back and to the right. And notice how your low back feels too. So it doesn't have to be as dramatic a movement as mine. So if you inhale forward a little bit to the left, a little bit back, if you're feeling it without pain and you're moving into the body, that's all you need. It's perfectly fine to take it slower and more deliberate. Let's take 2 more circles through this way. And the slower you go, the more detailed, the more nuanced you can get. So as you inhale, you can notice into the chest, into the ribs on both sides, more onto this side as you come over. Exhale, spreading through the shoulder blades in the back. And inhale, come back to the center. Good. So now we're going to come into cat-cow on hands and knees, just to open it to the spine a little bit more. So you can come onto hands and knees. Feel free to cushion under your knees as much as you need to. And we're going to, again, be breaking down our sun salutation quite a bit. So it's going to be slower. It's going to be harder because you're going to be deliberately holding the postures, holding and engaging the muscles. So simplifying doesn't mean easier necessarily. So I'd like you to stack your bones. So we're going to come into child's pose first to make our way into our Adho Mukha Svanasana, which is down dog. So child's pose, you can bring the knees together or wide apart. So together and bringing your bum towards your heels will open up your low back. If you want to open up your hips, but don't really open up your hips too much, you can bring your knees out to the sides. There's a lot of focus on opening up the hips in yoga, and I would argue too much, and it's messing up a lot of our pelvic security and alignment, so the pelvis being into the low back, into the SI joint. So knees open or closed, And then you're going to stretch your arms out forward. Now you can do a few things. You can bring your head onto a block and it can be as high as you like. And then you can bring your forearms to the floor. Or you can bring your head to the floor and extend your arms forward. With the arms forward, you're going to get lots more stretch into the shoulders. Okay, but I want you to activate through the arms. So rather than dumping down, spread through the fingers, claw the fingertips into the mat, and then lift the elbows up off the floor and drag your shoulders down your back. Okay? Squeeze your belly muscles into the low back just a little bit to secure the spine. Coming into your diaphragmatic breath again, inhaling deep down into the belly, push the diaphragm down. Exhaling, squeezing the breath out. Relaxing the face. We're going to move our child's pose into our down dog. So you're going to come up just a little bit, tuck the toes under, bring your knees about a fist distance apart, and then with the toes tucked under, you're going to push your bum back once again. So depending on the stability and the strength of your arms, you might be able to push way back and start to come up into down dog. If that's a bit too much, you come forward a little bit more so you have more stability in the shoulders. And as you exhale, push into the hands and the toes and start to come up. But I want you to keep your knees bent and stick your butt out into the air. So think about sticking your butt out. Okay, so that's going to allow you to tilt the pelvis. So the front of the pelvis tilting forward, the back of the pelvis tilting back. Tilting forward. And then keep the knees in contact with the belly. Okay? So you can wiggle around a little bit and find this posture. This is a very good posture for strengthening into the arms. You're getting blood flow into the head, hopefully not an excessive amount. So it's good for invigorating into the brain, feeling more awakened, and also blood flow into the face, which is always good for having a little bit more glow. Now, if you're starting to fatigue, bring the knees down. If you have glaucoma or high blood pressure or even low blood pressure, you want to take down dog very lightly. So your head maybe is just barely below the heart level or not below the heart level. You could stay in child's pose. Okay? So I want you to stay here for one more big breath. Keeping the ribs drawn in. And then exhale, come back down onto hands and knees. Okay? Take a minute and shake out the wrists, shaking out the arms. So that's one of our first postures in yoga that's more commonly practiced is down dog. So we're going to make our way up to standing from down dog this time. We're going to come into, again, child's pose. Tuck the toes under. If you want to play with a little bit more stretch and strength into the arms, again, really lengthen through the arms. Exhale, push up, bring the bum up. And then if you like, you can stretch the arms a bit more, stretch the legs a bit more. Towards straight, drawing the belly and the ribs in, curling the armpits in towards the face. And now to come up to standing, you're going to inhale and come onto tippy toes. Exhale, bend the knees and walk or hop the feet up to the front of the mat. Hands on the shins and inhale, half lift. Exhale to fold, letting the knees bend. And inhale, come all the way up to standing. Okay. Momentito, a little adjustment here. So coming up to standing from seated, we're coming into Tadasana or mountain pose. So you're going to bring your feet, I would say 2 inches or so apart, just to start, okay? And getting into your feet. So I want you to wiggle around, lift and spread your toes. And in the same way that I asked you to claw your fingertips into the floor, I want you to lift and spread your toes and trickle your toes down and think about your toes spread and clawed down into the floor. So you can feel some activation into the arches of the feet, the medial arch between the big toe and the heel. Okay, and then release the toes, wiggle and fan them out. Now I want you to lift your toes and keep the toes lifted as much as you can. And that again is going to strengthen and start to lift up your arch. So once you relax your feet, you can notice that the arch is a bit dropped and slumped. And as you lift up your toes, you can see the arch lift and activate. So you're going to get a stronger arch by practicing just standing there, lifting your toes. It can be so simple. Okay, and then with the arms, lengthen the arms down, roll the shoulders back, and brighten the chest up. And I don't want you to draw the belly back as much as humanly possible. You're just going to squeeze the belly a bit as if the back of your belly is holding the front of your spine. Okay? Keeping the toes lifted. On an inhale, bring the arms up. And now you can bring the arms, I'll come down for YouTube so you can see. You can bring the arms, if your shoulders are not too tight, bring them all the way together. If that feels claustrophobic, just bring your arms up, but wide. Another option is to lace the fingers behind the head. And it's a little bit less work to keep the arms up, but you definitely find some opening in through the shoulders. Okay? So standing in mountain pose, lifting up through the toes, drawing the belly back slightly. Remembering our diaphragmatic breath. Remembering to unclench the jaw. And if you like, again, the arms up. Our exhalation is going to bring us to fold forward. And as you exhale, bend the knees, stick the butt out, lots of butt out in yoga, and fold forward. Now, if you need to, you can always bring your hands onto the knees and stop here, bringing your heart parallel to the floor. If you have low back issues, you can stay here as well. If you feel okay to fold forward, you can fold forward. So when you fold forward, though, I want you to pay attention to the belly and the thighs keeping contact. So we're not folding forward and hanging off of our low back. Bend the knees so that you can brace your low back with your legs, and then draw the hands down, let the head drop. So even when you're folded forward completely, if and when you can straighten the legs, you keep the belly in contact with the thighs. If you like, you can hold on to the backs of the legs. And use your breath here. Inhale, reach the crown of the head towards the floor. If you're half lifted, inhale and reach the head towards the front. As you exhale, squeeze the belly in to fold a little bit deeper. If you're folded deeper, draw your face towards your legs. And still even here, that diaphragmatic breath. Inhale into the belly. And because we're folded forward, breathing into the belly, it's a really good massage into the right side ascending colon and the descending colon on the left side of the belly. On your inhale, come up halfway. Your hands can be on your shins or your hands can be on the floor. And again, the shoulders are back, the belly is drawn in. Hold here for a little while. In a sun salutation, typically we're not holding as long. You're moving with the breath a little bit more, but we're going to redefine all of these postures here. So hold here, keep the toes activated. Exhale, bend the knees, and make our way down into hands and knees. And now we're going to start working with our plank pose. So with plank, bringing the knees a little bit behind the hips and holding half plank. So I know some of us can do full plank and we want to do what we want to do the most, but don't. I want you to redefine things a little bit here. So you're going to come into half plank with your knees a little behind the hips. and stacking your shoulders over top of your wrists, okay? And now I want you to look at your wrists and see that crease of skin in the wrists. And if you feel any compression into the wrists, turn your fingertips out to the side a little bit and maybe lean back more so that you have a little less crease into the wrist. So you're not taking all that compression into the wrist joint. Spread your fingertips, claw the fingertips in, okay? Turning to the side. So with our half plank, we're going to come down into chaturanga. So this one, your elbows, that's why I turned to the front and I forgot. Your elbows are in the ribs, into the ribs, okay? So you're closing your armpits, and as you exhale, start to lower down, bend the elbows, and we're gonna hold here. So this is not your kamikaze dive to your death. You're going to hold elbows in and into the ribs and keep breathing. So you're finding more strength into the triceps, into the shoulders for sure. Claw the fingertips in. Now see if maybe you can lower down a bit more. Keep your shoulders up so you're not dropping your shoulders forward. And on an inhalation, I want you to draw the chest forward and sink your belly down to the floor, elbows back, okay? So we're not coming all the way down from plank in what I'm teaching you here, okay? As we come down, we're now into cobra pose, and I want you to pull the elbows back, pin the toenails down onto the floor, and bring your hands off the floor. So when you bring your hands off the floor, you are using your low back, which is the point of cobra, strengthening your low back to hold the posture rather than pushing and getting big and deep into the low back, causing compression, but trying to impress those around you in your yoga class who don't know that you're killing your low back. So please, rather than pushing into the low back, pin the toenails and pull. So you can come up high once you get a strong back. You can still come up very high, okay? So you're pulling the hands rather than pushing. Pull the chest forward. On an exhale, come to hands and knees. All the way back into child's pose. Knees together to find space in the low back. And if you do find that down dog is relaxing, you can come into down dog for 5 breaths. If you find this posture is not work, but it's restful. If not, come back down into your child's pose. 3 more breaths. On your next inhale, bringing the head up, coming back onto hands and knees, and now bringing ourselves into our lunge posture, coming towards warrior 1. So you're going to step your right foot forward. This is also called in Sanskrit Anjasana. So bringing the right foot forward, bring your hands onto the front leg. So the purpose of this posture, and we'll eventually be coming up into warrior 1, is to get a stretch into the back leg, so into the quadricep, into the hip flexor, which might even come all the way up into the belly. But you don't want to get excessive flexibility. So if you can dump all the way down here, just because you can doesn't mean you shouldn't. If you overstretch in there, it's going to cause instability in the hips, in the pelvis, in your SI joint. I myself did that for many, many years, and I'm still recovering in the hip from that. So you want to just activate to find some stretch without dumping into flexibility. So to do that, walk that front leg forward so the knee is over top of the ankle. And then as you exhale, squeeze the belly in and tilt the pelvis back. Squeeze your right butt cheek and think about drawing the back leg, your left knee, squeezing the knee forward. So it's as if you're trying to scissor the back leg and the front leg together. So I can get a significant amount of stretch here and sensation Even though my flexibility allows that I can drop that sucker all the way down, it may look impressive, but it doesn't feel impressive, I'll tell you. So as you inhale, lifting the chest up, arms can come up, or if that's too much, keeping the hands onto the hips. So squeeze, tilt, and scissor. 2 more breaths here. So bringing this now into the full posture, which would be Virabhadrasana 1 or Warrior 1. You're going to tuck the toes under the back foot, hands on either the hip or the front leg, or arms up. And as you exhale, you're going to push up. Front leg is still bent, and the back leg is long into a lunge. 2 options. So you can have your back foot heel, see, you can have your back heel up off of the floor, and that will help your ankle. Some ankles are not fans of the full posture. On another opposite option, is the back heel can come down onto the floor. So when you're bringing that back heel down onto the floor, your pelvis wants to turn to the left, that's fine. But you're going to keep pressing into that outside edge of your back foot, lifting up the toes, bend into the front leg, and turn the pelvis forward until you feel a bit of a stretch. So you want to activate the muscles. You don't want to stretch the heck out of all of your muscles, okay? So again, we're not dumping down. Push back into the outer edge of the back foot. Hands can stay on the front leg, on the hips, or up overhead. You can also lace the hands behind the head. You can also bring the hands across the low back. There's a little fancy if you want. You can bring reverse namaste. You bring the hands together by the shoulder blades. That's a big juicy stretch into the wrists, the forearms, the shoulders. So do whatever feels best. We're going to hold whatever posture version you can hold for 2 diaphragmatic breaths. Inhaling down into the belly. Exhale, breathe it out. Good. On an exhale, bring your hands down to the floor. Inhale, lift your back heel. Exhale, step back into plank. Now, if you need to, bring the back knee down first and come into half plank, or you can come into full plank. So we're going to be coming into our chaturanga once again. So if you like, you can take it from full plank, but you're not going to kamikaze that to your death. So claw the fingertips in, knees either to the floor, half plank, or up. And as you exhale, start to lower down, elbows grip into the ribs, shoulders are not below your bum. Hold here, keep breathing. Shoulders back, belly in. And as you inhale, lower the hips, the belly, the pubic bone to the floor, untuck the toes, and pull. So cobra like a snake. You want to pull like you're a little 5-year-old, or Facebook, can't see my head. You're going to pull forward. Right? Hands off to make sure you're engaging the belly. And then hands back down and pull rather than pushing with the hands. Exhale to hands and knees, tuck the toes. Inhale to down dog. So you can start with child's pose. You can stay there. And then as you exhale, push back into down dog. So you can find strength, but also stretch into the shoulder with this posture. So as you let your exhale out, let your upper back sink in towards the chest, but at the same time, draw the front ribs in. So you're not dumping your flexibility again into the shoulders. Inhale, look forward, and we're going to step the right foot forward into our lunge. If you need to, hold on and walk that sucker forward. And if you like, back knee can come down to the floor. Inhale, bringing the arms up, or taking the full posture of Warrior 1, back toes tucked, and lifting up. Front leg is bent. Make sure you're breathing your breath. Push the breath out. Inhale the breath in. If you like, back heel down to the floor. Draw your left shoulder forward. Push into the outer edge of the back foot. 2 more breaths. On your exhale, hands to the floor. Inhale, lift the back heel. Exhale, step back into plank. Rotate the knees to the floor first. So once again, chaturanga. Exhale, elbows into the ribs. Tip your toes and pull the body forward. Lower just a bit. Inhale, hips down. And pull the elbows back. Pull the chest forward. Tip your toes to the floor. Breathe the breath in and all the way out. Exhale to hands and knees. Come into child's pose for 2 breaths or down dog. Losing your breath. Inhale, tip your toes. So now your left foot's going to come forward. Exhale, step it forward. Walk it forward if you need to, or step all the way through. So your choice again, low lunge. Do what you like with the arms. If you like high lunge or full, warrior 1, back heel to the floor. And bringing the arms up. So in the full posture, you want to guide the hips forward, but they do not need to be cranked all the way forward, parallel with the front wall. Again, you're finding postures that make sense in the body. There is no one set of anatomy that is correct in the body. Everyone has different, not just flexibility, but setup in how their bones are aligned and what they will be able to do. I, for example, will never be able to do a drop back bend. I have a nice short little torso. On an exhale, bring your hands down to the floor. Inhale, back heel up. Exhale, step back. And then we're going to come into down dog, lifting the bum up. Exhale, draw the ribs in and the upper back towards the chest. On your next exhale, we're going to come out of the posture into the floor. Knees down. And coming up. So that is our sun salutation breakdown. I am toasty warm, nice and sweaty. So we're going to come down into seated, slow things down, and come into some more breathing techniques and into our meditation and Shavasana. So take a seat. And again, you can sit however you like. So with our Shavasana, very, very often classes are ended in Shavasana. There are benefits to ending in Shavasana. And again, it depends on the person. If your low back is giving you any issues, especially after doing a lot of exercises where you're doing the back bends like Cobra, you're working around the hips, you might find laying on your back is not pleasant and you're a little tight in the low back. So you can take your meditation seated. You can sit your back against a wall for more support. You can again sit up onto your block, or you can choose to take Shavasana. So Shavasana translated is corpse pose. So not to be morbid, but corpses don't always just lay out prettily on a yoga mat. So corpse pose is just do nothing with your body, flop onto the floor. So you might lay onto the floor with your knees bent. You can have your block under your head. You can have your knees knocked together and your feet wide for even more space into the low back. If you like, and your low back is giving you no problems, extend your legs out wide and your arms out wide. So even this element of laying on your back, especially when we're in a yoga class, and we might have been doing some movements with the body that we were unsure of, the whole experience is new, there might be anxiety. Opening up, feeling kind of exposed here may make you feel vulnerable and uncomfortable. You can do whatever you want. If this doesn't feel good now, it doesn't feel good in a yoga class, you don't need to. So you can lay down on your side, You can tuck into a fetal posture, your knees tucked into your belly. Your bottom arm is your pillow, your top hand wherever it feels good. You can also take Shavasana on your tummy. Again, if your low back is not bothering you, you can lay on your tummy. If Facebook people can see, you can bend one leg out to the side and then take your head down onto your hands. I'm going to give you some time to fiddle around. I'm going to come up into a seat. You're going to find a posture that feels relaxing, that is non-performative, that does a whole lot of nothing physically. Okay? So we get into a posture where we're not doing a whole lot physically so that we can pay more attention to how the breath feels and what's going on with the mind. Because with meditation, contrary to still what a lot of people think, you're not turning off your brain. Even when you're asleep, you're in a coma, your brain is still working. You want your brain to be working because it means you're alive. So what meditation is not is turning off everything and stopping thought. What meditation is focusing the mind, controlling the mind, not a rigid controlling control, but a guided, deliberate focus of the mind. So you're going to consistently have interruptions externally, sounds, you have smells maybe that you don't like or like that are distracting you, my voice, my incessant chatter, and things in the body that are going to distract you, your own thoughts. So once you come to a comfortable posture, you're going to bring your awareness into that breath, the diaphragmatic breath. And as you exhale, think about blowing out all of the distracting thoughts. Mentally, internally, tell yourself to inhale. As you exhale, say exhale internally, or if you're by yourself, say it out loud. Keep breathing your breath without rushing the inhalation or the exhalation. As you keep breathing your breath, start to check in with and scanning into the body from top to bottom. So bring awareness and focus, mentally picture the scalp, all the way from the top of the forehead up and around and back and down to the base of the neck, the base of the skull. And as you inhale, think about your inhalation opening up and spreading through the scalp. And as you exhale, picture the scalp softly draping around the entirety of the back of the skull. Bring your attention into the forehead, relaxing through the forehead, unfurrowing the eyebrows, giving more space in between the eyebrows. And bring attention of the breath into the forehead. So as you inhale, think about the forehead spreading from top to bottom, left to right. As you exhale, the skin of the forehead just a little bit wider, softer. Bring the attention into the temples, attention to the ears, all the muscles around the ears. As you exhale, letting go of the breath, letting go of and dropping the tension around the ears, down through the neck, down through the shoulders, out of the fingertips. Bringing the attention now to your eyes, all the squinty muscles around the eyes, letting them soften and draw back from the eyeballs. You may notice that the closed eye gaze starts to draw towards the bridge of the nose, and between the eyebrows. If it hasn't, guide that closed eye gaze to the spot between the eyebrows. Not only does it give a nice massage to the ocular nerve, gives some stretch through the muscles of the eye, but it also takes your mental images of whatever's distracting, whatever you're thinking about, away from those distractions and picturing that spot between the eyebrows. Bring your attention into the jaw. Relax and unclench through the jaw. Let the lips slightly part. Allow your inhalation to fully open into the chest and the ribs and the belly. Smoothly let the breath as you exhale drip out through the nose, decompressing through the ribs. Bringing attention to the neck, to the shoulders. Find expansion through the neck, through the throat, through the chest as you breathe in. And letting go, decompression, releasing through the breath out. Bringing attention now down into the ribs, the rib cage on both sides. Inhale fully through the left lung, the right lung, the front of the lungs and the back. Decompress, letting the breath drain out. Inhale from the center of the body, out left and right, front and back, into the full torso, and as you exhale, release and decompress. Relaxing through the abdominal muscles completely, letting the diaphragm drop down as you inhale, belly relaxing. Exhale, the belly floating back and down. Notice where your thoughts have drifted off to. Leave the sentences unfinished, the plans, the calculations unfinished, and come back to inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Noticing the points of the body that are in contact with the floor. Notice any heat in those points of the body in contact with the floor, the mat, the carpet. And every exhalation, get heavier through the body, releasing into those points of contact as you let go of the breath. As you let go of holding, let the ground hold you up rather than the muscles, the bracing, the gripping. Bringing awareness into the tops of the thighs. Noticing the length, the width, and the fullness of those muscles. Your seat in contact with the floor. Letting the flesh release into the mat. Awareness into the knees. Imagining space into each knee joint with the inhalation. Leaving space in the knee with the exhalation. Letting the awareness travel down the calves, the shins down to the ankle joints. Breathing space into each ankle. Awareness into the tops of the feet. To each toe, each knuckle of each toe. Imagining someone lightly pulling on each toe with the inhalation, finding space through each joint. The exhalation, bringing awareness into the soles of the feet down to the heels. Taking account of 4 more breaths in your own time without rushing either end of the breath. Slowing down through the last breath especially. For those of you that are laying down, gradually starting to bend the knees, rolling over to one side. And starting to come up into a comfortable seat. Those of you seated, starting to lengthen up through the spine, just waking up through the body if you like, rolling shoulders, moving around through the head and neck, or if you like, moving not at all. You're going to come into some more breathing exercises. So slowly, when you're ready, start to blink the eyes all the way to open. A few blinks before they're all the way open. You're going to be coming into a breath that is an even breath, Samavriti. Samavriti is, again, a controlled breath, and it's paying attention to first your natural length of breath in and out. We're going to start by just breathing naturally and starting to notice how long it takes you to breathe your breath in, how fully the breath is. So start to breathe a natural breath now and just notice. If it takes 3 breaths, 6, 8, however many, and then let your breath out. Breathe again naturally in. Notice the depth, the length, the time. Breathe out. Breathing in again. So you're going to take that length of inhale, the number of beats on your inhale, into your exhalation. So if it's 4 beats in, it's 4 beats out. The same depth, the same amount of time. Breathing in at your natural pace and breathing out at that same pace as your inhale. Breath in, down into the belly, and a breath out. So you might be able to take longer breaths. If you are, it still is even. The breath in and the breath out are evenly matched. Relaxing the belly so there's more space for the diaphragm. We'll take 2 more of these breaths before we add to it. Now on your next inhalation, take that same length of inhalation and smooth out the transition now to your exhalation, like you're rounding the top of the hill. Come down to the bottom of your exhale, swoop up through the inhale. So you're creating more of a circular breath, rounding off the top of the inhale, down through the exhale. So there's no pause or break in the breath. Scooping up into the inhale, smoothing out down into the exhale. So it's a constant circular breath, in and out through the nose. Keep breathing at your own pace. See if gradually, that might be today, it might be weeks or months, if you can add an extra beat to the inhale and the exhale. More lung capacity, more oxygen into the blood. One more round circular breath. When you're ready, coming up to your inhalation, inhale and hold your breath at the top of your inhale. Now exhale, release. Slowly down through the exhale. Keep breathing. Inhale. You're going to hold again at the top. You're going to hold the breath lightly for 3 beats, 4 beats. If you can calmly hold it for longer, you can. When you're ready, exhale the breath out. Breathing in. When you're ready, holding at the top. 2 more cycles this way. So an exhale, an inhale, and a hold. 1 more. And when you exhale, now we're going to shift the hold to the bottom of the exhale. So exhale, squeeze the belly in, hold for about 4 beats without squeezing the jaw or the shoulders. When you're ready, scoop up through the inhale. Without holding on the inhale, come through to the exhale, hold at the bottom of your exhale. We'll do 4 more. So again, breathing through the inhale, down to the exhale, holding only on the bottom of the exhale. 3 more. Last one. Your last exhale, hold the breath at the bottom. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. Our last breath we're going to practice is our skull shining or Kapalbhati breath, also breath of fire. So this one, again, you can take seated. You don't really want to be doing it laying down per se. You could sit up onto your block again. And if you want, you can sit up onto your heels. If that's too intense onto the knees, you can take your block, or if you want to be sitting onto a book this way, but you're going to take the highest point of the block so that you can sit up. The femoral arteries are open, you're not killing your knees, but you can get into this breath, which is a little bit more pulsing into the belly. So this breath is focusing on a deliberate exhale, like you're being punched and you're puking out the exhalation, if you like. So I'm going to just prop up here. So our breath, this one is really quite energizing. It's really good to tone up into the transverse abdominals, the deep dark recesses of the belly, the ones that are less showy, but actually more structurally important for protecting the spine and keeping us nice and erect through the spine. So what we're going to do is inhale and exhale, and then inhale and exhale and puff. So that diaphragmatic breath, you really out with every exhale. So you're going to, as much as you can, breathe in and out through the nose. So the exaggeration is on the exhale, but you are still inhaling after each exhale. It's just a softer inhale. So when you're ready, inhale, exhale, inhale, and then 10 pulses back with the exhale. Inhale, hold the breath for 4 beats. Exhale out. And again, this time 15 pulses. Inhale in. Exhale out. Inhale. Exhale 15 pulses. Inhale. Hold the breath in for 4 beats. Exhale, release. Last one, 20 pulses. Inhale first. Exhale out. Inhale. 20 beats out. Inhale. Stretch out the belly, hold the breath for 4 beats. Exhale, release. Good. So quite invigorating, and even getting that pace of the beat of the exhalation can take some work. It's not commonly something that we do, so if you're not used to it, you're not used to it. It'll take some time to practice it. Even if you can do 4 of those pulses, it'll be invigorating throughout the day if you can just take a minute and just take those breaths. And if you're breathing out through the mouth, no one's going to report you to the yoga police. You can breathe in and out through the mouth if you're stuffed up. So that was our breakdown for some elements of yoga, some of them that are maybe commonly misrepresented or improperly done, especially with some of those postures into sun salutation, filling our shoulders. So if you have any questions, feel free to send them off to me on Facebook. Maybe comment here on YouTube. So it's Melanie Joy Yoga. You can also send me emails at melaniejoyyoga@gmail.com. And we'll be back here next Sunday at noon for a different kind of class. Wait and see. Thank you. Bye-bye.